And you know, there's a lot of groups that was forming down there. You know, like every uprising, and you know, it was a lot of back and forth. But ultimately, we just keep going, and we kept, you know, trying to push the revolution. So I guess right now the climate right now is it was kind of dead. It was kind of dead for a good month. Everybody was still working, trying to help other people with evictions. You know, they're evicting a lot of people right now during the pandemic and things like that. But right now, currently today, they're having marches every day, getting back to their flow like usual. And I think that ultimately, like, even though we didn't get just for Breonna Taylor, we gotta continue to fight for every black life that has been lost by police brutality. And I think that in Louisville, we just gotta keep on trying to abolish and change different laws in Louisville or in Kentucky, because Kentucky is like one of the top racist states in the country. So we just gonna continue to fight. The atmosphere was great, you feel me? It was a lot of people came from out of town. We started to see like what a real uprising was. Louisville, it's like our first uprising really. You know, it was different other uprisings, but that was within the city. But this year, it just took a lot of people to be like, I got to really educate myself. And that was the number one thing in Louisville, which we just wanted to march all the time, but we never wanted to educate. And, you know, we ain't never want to train or whatever. And I think now people's getting to the point where they're like, man, I got to train, I got to educate to really know what I'm out here for. And I think that's the climate right now. A lot of people are starting to educate their stuff and get out there more and continue to fight. It's been 270 plus days, so it's going to keep going. So,
Yeah, that's quite a bit, man. Obviously, with COVID being the overarching theme in the country right now, people are losing their houses, losing their homes, getting evicted. People are losing jobs. People are losing loved ones left and right, to things even beyond police brutality. You know, so it says that you are a mental health specialist, Streets. So can you tell us a little bit about how you have been helping people through some of these times? Like, how do you maintain organizing marches and keeping people's momentum up and keeping that fire lit under them while they are dealing with job loss, while they're dealing with COVID-19, while they're dealing with, you know, their loved ones being taken from them?
That's a job that I do right now, and how I implement that in the movement of the people. I do a lot of aid and a lot of medic, and just a lot of checking in. You feel me? I think checking in is the number one thing that comes into mental health, because we don't know what really someone's going through this movement and through like COVID and through like their own personal problems at home, you know. But they just continue to come out every day, continue to fight, but ultimately we don't know what's really going on with them. And I feel like a check-in good, you feel me, with the people that's protesting, especially like the leaders or the organizers and things like that. So what I mainly do, I do a check-in. I'll be like, hey, how you doing today? Things like that. What do you need? Things like that. You know, we try to help as, you know, we try to help, and like, you know, if they don't have no rent money, we'll try to see how we can get that rent money. You know, if they need like therapists, we'll try to get that done. So a lot of kids that's in the movement, we'll talk to them and be like, hey, like, how you doing? Things like that, because we always see the kid, but we never see the parent. So that's the biggest part. We always see the kid, you know, in the revolution, but their parents be like, they be gone. They be out there till like 5 a.m. There's a lot of homeless out there. So knowing somebody's mental health and knowing somebody's stages is great. Somebody that knows about mental health is great in the movement. So that way, you feel me? Like if they going through a mental health crisis, we can fix that right then and there, than to wait later, and have another just problem, So I just try to utilize my skills that I work in the hospital, out in the movement, to help people on the front lines, that's fighting in the front lines. Because I feel like it's very traumatizing to get hit with rubber bullets, get sprayed with mace,
definitely,
get beat down, get arrested, and they kicking you and all of that stuff, and then continue to fight this movement and continue to just say Breonna Taylor and things like that, and then go home, and especially if you got kids, like it's like how do you even work with that? You got kids, you go home and be like, man, like I just got mace, I got pepper spray, this and that,
right?
And you ultimately trying to fight for your kid to, so this won't happen to them. Like it's just a lot of stuff that goes on in mental health. So it's great for somebody to just reach out. You feel me?
Yeah, and, definitely. And we appreciate people, that can have that knowledge. It takes basically, just like it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to have a movement, right? It takes people of all kinds to really drive this home. And speaking of young people, Grand Rapids has a young person right here, Jakari Richardson. We've all known that the movement is fueled by 1, black women, and 2, young people. That's what it is. It's young people that are the lifeblood of any movement, and they push it. So turning to Jakari, can you talk a little bit about what it's like being so young in the movement? First, tell everybody how old you are, and then let everybody know, what it's like for you being so young in this movement of adults.
Hey everyone, I'm 18, and I say it's really hard because, one, at the age I'm at, you got to do a lot of catching up, especially with the education system you have here in Grand Rapids. They aren't giving you any knowledge about who you are, your roots, none of that. I have to go back and I have to discover for myself who I was on a continent, what am I meant to do in this society, how am I supposed to survive, how I'm supposed to use tools and things like that. So it's hard. So I have to educate myself. Secondly, people don't want to listen to you because people don't think you know anything, right? Being as young as I am, people would take me for granted, but I don't want to sound, arrogant or anything, but I know a lot more than what people would think, And so being young and being in this fight, it is hard because you have to really solidify your position.
Okay, that's true. I've seen it myself, and I've also been a victim of being, 1, a young person in an older person's game, and 2, now being a little bit older and dealing with younger people as being an educator myself. We're all at fault sometimes, so we definitely appreciate you for sticking that out and toughing it out. You mentioned in your bio, Jakari, that you're waging war on our internal enemies and reclaiming knowledge. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means to you?
Yes, so I first like to say, one time Malcolm X said in one of his speeches that, so what? If you're black, you were born in jail. And so being born in jail, you have to fight generational curses, you have to fight demons, and you have to kill the ignorance that was instilled within you through white colonization. And so we have to wage war on our internal enemies through knowledge itself. You have to get a better understanding of who you are. So things such as racial pride, self-determination, having confidence. You have to fight those things. You have to really go through a war. You have to really face yourself in order to be who you were supposed to be. We were architects, we were mathematicians, we were doctors, we were scientists, we were the first teachers, we were the first professors. We built some of the first and the greatest architects in civilization. We built the first civilizations. We were engineers, we were everything. And so you have to regain knowledge of who you are. And in order for you to be African in this world, you have to really do a lot of connecting with your people and going back and teaching your people and saving them from the ignorance that was put on them, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely love it. Always shout out to the young folks in the game. Y'all keep us on our toes, and y'all are definitely what it takes to keep everything moving forward. Otherwise, old people get tired. Right. So we're gonna move to Angie, because I did mention that not only are young people the lifeblood, but the driving force behind any great change. They always say behind a strong man is a stronger woman. So, can you talk to us a little bit about what it's like being such a strong woman in this game?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for having me. Being a woman in this movement, it's very complex. I think that there's a level of people. It's trying to find the understanding of what it means to protect Black women, and I think that sometimes it gets so misunderstood within this realm of activism that it can be very, very difficult. But it's like we're screaming protect Black women, but it's also like we're pushing this thing forward too. And so it gets to be a difficult conversation when working with other organizers who are men and who are just trying to kind of sift through that. I also think it's like just being a woman, it can be a little bit difficult when you Black women are still seen as aggressive, and that's problematic. When really we're just enraged because we have every right to be angry like everybody else. And so I think that a lot of times our anger and our rage can be misunderstood for aggressive or I guess just aggressive is like the one big thing instead of assertive, right? And we're just here to take back what's owed to us.
Right. No, definitely. You don't mess with Mama Bear, right? About the Cubs. So and there's too many.
Well, I'm taking care of everyone. It's like, no, listen, we need to make sure you're good, this person's good, and it's just, it's like, it's that nurturing, that protective nature that we have, so.
Definitely. And like I said, you said that you are a breaker of chains and a liberationist. Do you want to expound upon that and tell everybody what that means?
When we're considering liberation, we're thinking about being released from constraints. We're thinking about being free. And when I think, we talk about it is our duty to fight for our freedom, it's our duty to win. We must love and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. And when we say that, I think when we think liberation, I think freedom of losing those chains. And so I call myself that because I'm really not interested in having conversations with the police. I'm really not interested in educating my oppressors. I'm here so Black people can get what they need, equity, right? I'm here so that we can get equity, so we can end this war against police brutality, against mass incarceration, the things that actually matter within our neighborhoods and within our communities, and the violence within our communities, the struggle for resources, all of those things. So it's bigger than just like doing the work. It's about really creating some type of real change and Black people feeling free, like you can be yourself and walk in whatever your calling is. So that's what I'm here to do, is make people, help people become more self-aware, help people to feel more comfortable in their Blackness. I think a lot of times it's like, oh, Black people are ghetto, Black people are this. No, we're just ourselves, and there's nothing that I love more than being Black.
Hey, right on. Power to the people. I love that. Obviously, most of the people in this room are Black. I don't know what Donnie is right now, but the last name Santiago, are you Afro-Latino or what's happening here?
Black and Puerto Riqueño.
Yes sir. Love it. My daughter is part Puerto Rican, so it is beautiful, man. Can you speak to us about what it's like being in this movement and maybe not looking like everybody else in the movement?
Oh, yes. I'm glad I got this question. Being Black or just being two races, the duality of it, being Black and Hispanic at the same time, it always put me in this paradigm or parallel space in the in-between, where society and the socialist construct of society means that, if you're in that in between, you don't belong. You don't feel like you belong. You don't feel like you are a part of anything. You know what I'm saying? Like and then so having those feelings like pretty much my entire life with, coming in and out of different groups, it really makes me feel like it helps me utilize that when I go back into the movement. It helps me kind of channel that into like how to address certain complications, and kind of how people will respond to that complication. Because again, I know I had to get in touch with both sides of myself in order to even step into this role. Getting in touch with my black side meant that I had to, find myself, get in touch with the things that I didn't know, that the forefathers of this country, placed down before me. I had to undo a lot of that education, a lot of those social constructs in order to really understand my blackness, in order to understand where I come from and where my energy and my soul comes from. So channeling that back into the movement and fully just just channeling that back into the movement is complicated, but also motivating for me, because I see it within people that even like say that they understand, and what I mean by that is like, some marginalized people say that they understand certain things, and then without being placed in that situation, it's kind of hard to see it unless you've been there. So being able to kind of like see the double-sided of things allows me that double perspective, so that I can not only just concentrate, on the tunnel vision of where I am, but also where other people are coming from, getting other ideas and or suggestion, comments, concerns, all that, putting that all together and just kind of like, again, being able to remain in that balance of what's going to be right for this and that, and bringing the this and that together.
Okay. Do you feel like your mixed identity maybe caused you to not be heard so much, and is that a driving factor in your reason to want to amplify everybody else's voices so much?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I say this all the time whenever I get on the mic. It's like I couldn't even get in touch with my Hispanic side because I'm viewed as black, So whenever I go into a store, I'm always going to be viewed as black over Hispanic because my skin is brown. So therefore I'm black over that. And it's just like that in social groups where the social construct is, our oppressors put this oppressive thought into our brains, this construct of, the lighter the skin, the more accepting, and the darker the skin, the less accepting. And that has obviously been a benefactor or a large benefactor of why I feel so heavily and passionate towards the movement. Being seen as anything other than black or Hispanic or just anything than myself is, kind of hurtful, especially when it comes from like my same face. When I look at somebody who resembles me, a reflection of myself, and then getting that, or you're a light skin or just anybody in general, it's like, but I'm still black and I'm still Hispanic, so it doesn't matter what percentage that is, I'm still having the experience. So yeah, that's a huge reason why I want to speak up, because again, that in betweenness, and it reels a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression about it, because you kind of question it. Overall, you really question your existence, because you do get negatives from both sides, and then it just creates overall complications. But channeling it, I love it. I'm coming out here trying to explain it to the best way, articulate myself the best way possible, so that people can relate to it in a way. if it could help anybody.
Right. We appreciate it. You know, all the love, as close as Puerto Ricans are to black people with the slave trade that happened, and it stopped down in the Caribbean anyways. A lot of Puerto Ricans, a lot of Cubans, a lot of Dominicans are basically black, West Indian, West African, and I think a lot of them don't understand that. So we definitely appreciate that from you. And speaking of amplifying voices, Cortez Rice, it's been a minute, and we're finally getting ready to hear from you. We do share names, so I love that, man. My name is Cortez as well, so it's a great name. Can you tell us what brought you into the movement?
Where should I start? Actually, my stepmom was Desiree Collins, who was actually attacked by St. Paul police dogs while she was taking out her trash at 6 o'clock in the morning. She was taking out her trash, and she was asking the police, "Why are these dogs attacking me?" And the police told her, "You were just in the wrong place at the wrong time." So that was the beginning right there for me, where I knew, obviously, I had to step up, me for my family, you know what I mean? And then something tragic like George Floyd happened. Actually, when he moved to Minnesota, I met him, and he's been in my kid's life. I known him. I called him uncle. He called me nephew. He called my kids nephew, you know what I mean? So again, that was just one of the major things where I was like, you know what, I need to do something. Me and my cousin Tim packed up our stuff. August 6th, we took off walking from Minneapolis, Minnesota to Washington, D.C. Took us 22 days. It was 1,142 miles. We got there for the 57th commemoration speech of Dr. Martin Luther King, which was a reenactment of the Million Man March. And standing in solidarity with all the families as well.
Definitely.
Along that experience, it was life changing. It was definitely life changing. I say that because in order to change the world, you have to change within yourself. We all done had a past. Ain't nobody out here perfect. You know what I mean? But when I say that, is because along my journey, I was so in tune with God and the trees, the birds, the earth, you know what I mean? That is just you and him, you know what I mean? And you start realizing and understanding what he has in store for you, the purpose that he has in store for you, you know what I mean? So as we walk in and marching for peace, equality, justice, strength, and love against police brutality and gun violence and racism, it was exposed to us more and more, you know what I mean? As far as when we were in Bedford, PA, getting shot at, we linked up with Frank Nitty a couple of times, another activist from Milwaukee. He walked from Milwaukee to Washington, D.C. with a group of people as well, and linked up with him and his friend Sino got shot in the face by a white supremacist out in Bedford, PA. Along the journey, people try to hit us with cars, throwing stuff at us, call us niggers, all type of situations. But at the end of the day, it was beautiful because along the journey, I got to meet some very strong, powerful families where I could easily just made a call and got these people's numbers. But it wasn't like that. It was a actual walk, a spiritual walk, a walk of journey for me to be meeting these people along my walk and everything like that. So even like when I first started walking into Kentucky, I met a woman named Summer Dickinson, and she was like, "It looked like you out here walking for a purpose. What you doing?" I'm like, I told her who I was and what we were doing, and we ended up meeting Breonna Taylor family. You know what I mean? Then we met David McAtee's family. We met Tyler family, you know what I mean? And it just kept going on from there. God just kept putting us at the right time, at the right place with the right people. So, along the way, like I said, we walked there. I met Antoine Rowe's mom, Michelle Kinney, Danielle Brown, who is actually, I'm sending major prayers to her right now. She was on a hunger strike for over 200 some days for Jaylen Brown, who was actually killed by the police out there in Pennsylvania as well, and this dorm room in Duquesne University. So she's in the hospital right now on a hunger strike. She has not eaten anything, protein or anything like that, for over 200 some days, and that's her form of protesting. So I also want to send prayers to her because she just got to the ER today. But like I said, we've met some wonderful, strong families and standing in solidarity with a lot of families. Went out there to the Washington, D.C. for the inauguration thing. Then made it to Virginia, standing in solidarity with Xavier Hill, hashtag Xavier Hill, Justice for Xavier Hill. Help them organize and put together their marches out there. Shout out to Angie and them. And then, you know what I mean? Like I said, I've just been standing in solidarity with a lot of families, even Marcella Sinet family, who was killed by Waukegan, Illinois. I could just...
Yeah.
But,
That's quite a bit. I can see exactly why you're doing what you're doing. I can see why everybody's doing what they're doing. But that story in particular definitely would be a revelation of sorts. So like, I read in your bio that you are a single father, and you mentioned that you had kids. How, with everything that's happened, that's put you in this position, getting shot at, being around the people that ended up getting shot in the face, as you said, and everybody else that's dealt with the trauma that that put their families in this position. How do you talk to your kids about what you're doing and how dangerous this is?
So, I have 4 boys. I got custody of 2 of them. I think it's very important for our kids, obviously, to see what's going on, to know their history. This is one thing that me and Tim will be doing, is building a Youth for Change Center in South Minneapolis to give the history back to our youth, so we can create equality. Along my walk, though, I took the game system from my kids. They had to watch what I was doing. You know what I mean? They had to watch what I was doing. Not only just me, they don't watch Frank Nitty, Terry Willis, all these other activists out here. Because I feel like it's very important for our kids to know what's going on. You know what I mean? We sit up here and talk about, we got to teach our kids on how not to get shot at. You know what I mean? By the police.
Right.
On how not to run from the police and get killed. You know what I mean? Well, at the same time, we need to teach them the knowledge, the history. Right now, we're creating history right now. Who's going to write these books right now? You know what I mean? Who's going to write this stuff right now that we doing? So I make sure that my kids watch this. And I encourage other kids to watch this stuff, you know what I mean? And see what's going on.
Yeah, definitely.
Not just to add in on that, my kids were scared at first. But like I said, I letting them know that God got us, man. And at the end of the day, I don't want this to happen to y'all. You know what I mean? They seen what happened to Floyd. They seen what happened to Desiree. They seen what happened to Breonna Taylor family and all these other families. And I don't want this to happen to y'all. You know what I mean? My nieces and nephews. I couldn't bear to see that to even happen to your family. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, they were scared at first, but they understand what's going on, and
yeah, definitely. Like I said, that's it. Pushing it to the younger people and passing the torch, eventually grooming them to be able to accept that torch and walk with their heads up, held high, proud, and strong enough to be able to deal with the dangers that come with being black on an everyday basis. Right. Anything can happen. Jakari, I don't want to, keep talking about how young you are, but he was just, Cortez was just talking about his own children, his sons, and you're coming in at 18 years old and hearing these stories of marching for 22 days, being hungry or getting shot at. What does that do for your psyche when you hear older people talk about old stories about how dogs were sicked on them, or how, the parents had the whites only drinking fountains, and how are you changing the future for people your age and younger, for your generation, I should say?
hearing those things from people who are older than me, so most of my elders, you know, you really just think about how hard it is, and you think about how can you go about making things better for yourselves and for people who are around you. And so one of the things you have to do is you really have to connect and network with other people. And you people have to organize ways, solutions on how you're going to go about things. So like you have Black Party movement, you have the Black Panther Party movement, you have the Nation of Islam, you have the Rough Riders, you have organizations that come together and they come up with their own laws, their own defense, and how they're going to economically sustain themselves. And so when you do things like that, you organize and you plan on how you're going to depend on each other. Instead of depending on the oppressor, you go about things on your own. And so it's a rough sight, and it's a bad world we live in, but you know, I just keep my head up and I continue to just plot and plan with other people on, you know, what things we can do to make better of those things.
Yeah, definitely. Angie, I heard that you are you there? Screen froze. We'll come back to Angie. Streets. So, being from Louisville, one, tell us how to pronounce Louisville, man. There's been some heavy stuff on here. People say Louisville, Louisville, Louisville. Tell us how people from Louisville pronounce it.
It's just Louisville, like
Okay.
Louisville.
Like
People
Louisville.
say, you know, it's like choking on the tongue. It's just Louisville. Like we don't do Louisville or Louisville, and Louisville also do not claim Kentucky. So,
Okay.
my boy Cortez, he was like, we went to Kentucky. We don't claim Kentucky. You feel me?
Right,
But,
right.
we claim. So if somebody be like, "Where you from?" I'm from Louisville. Cause
Okay.
Kentucky is more. Cause usually when we go out of town, like somebody go out of town, they be like, "Dang, y'all country as heck. This is and that." But for us, we city. You feel me?
Right.
So Kentucky is more the racist side. Louisville is more the, you feel me? Where everybody, so it's just Louisville.
Definitely. I've been up and through there now a couple times, and I will be back on the 13th for the Breonna Taylor March. As a matter of fact, the entire Voices of the Revolution team that put this together, I believe, will be there as well in unison. So it's going to be a wonderful sight to see everybody. Hope I can see all of your faces down there as well. But I mean, speaking of Louisville, you have some of the greats. I mean, Muhammad Ali was born there. You know, Matty Jones, prominent activist from back in the day, was born there as well. And how do you all keep up the pressure from people that shine so bright in our history? And now, you know, who is carrying that torch now? Who is your brightest star that you would say in the city right now?
Brightest star in the city right now. Brightest star in the city right now. Shoot. To be honest, I don't know who would be the brightest star in the city, but I mean, we got a lot of people that's doing real work in Louisville, that's keeping their legacy alive. I know that in Louisville we have Muhammad Ali's grandson.
Okay.
His name is I forgot his name, but
that's all right.
he be out here in the movement tough. Like when Untitled Freedom had came down to the Capitol, he had did a few speeches and things like that. He keep his legacy all the way up high. He's always marching. He always quoting. He sounds just like Muhammad Ali. But basically, we just keep that legacy going. Usually, when I led marches, I always went to the Muhammad Ali because Muhammad Ali was a fighter, and you feel me? Like during this protest, we had to be fighters at the end of the day because, you know, them white officers and these people that was against us, you feel me? We had to be fighters in those moments. So always going by Muhammad Ali Center. Always brought, you feel me? Always brought hope and brought like another like passion, another just it was just. I guess I don't know how to explain it, but it was just great. You feel me? Every time you lead a march, we'll go past. We'll point for the people that don't know it's Muhammad Ali Center. We'll say, "Look, it's Muhammad Ali. He was a fighter. This and that." And then you just hear everybody start cheering or whatever, and it just be great. And like right now, I can't really say there's really a style because we have celebrities here in Louisville right now. I just put a post on Instagram, Facebook about some of the celebrities that's from Louisville that don't really do anything for their city. I wouldn't say there's like a star here or somebody that we can be like, look, they doing something. You feel me? Because even when we was doing the protest, we only had one. We had two Louisville celebs come out, which was Jamon Brown. He played for NFL team, and he came down there on consistent days and used his platform to elevate the movement. And we have C. Tez. He's like the Gucci clone. And he's been viral for that for years. So I think right now, like, we got to be the stars. We got to step up and be like, look, we are the community leaders. And we're going to continue to elevate and push on Muhammad Ali's legacy. Travis Nasty, which I call Cairo. Cairo, I think he's now a legend. You feel me?
Right. R.I.P.
I called Loaded, and we a coalition, and he was also in that group. And I feel like he's a legend now, so I called it Loaded Legend because, you feel me? He didn't die. He died fighting the revolution. He put his all into it. Like it's been times where he was just down low. You feel me? And that's where it comes in mental health because people didn't know that he was like that. But he wanted to be out there because and like his past life and things like that. Not to go in his past life, but it's like he had a lot of stuff going on too. So he's like, man, I'm getting so much love out here, man. I love it. You feel me?
Right.
And I get the fight of what I believe in. So it was all love at the same time. So he's really one of the legends, and that's what we push for. Because every time we march, all you hear is keep going, and that's all he believed in. Keep going. You feel me? Keep going. Keep going. Everybody that came to the city, he made sure that y'all knew him, that y'all know that he's gonna continue to fight the movement and keep on carrying these legacies like Muhammad Ali and other people. I remember Martin Luther King marched here with Tupac's mom in Louisville. So we just gonna continue to learn after them. We have a guy named if we saying a shining star would be Reverend Elliott. He marched with Martin Luther King. Okay. He came out a few times during the march because he's really old. He's like in his 90s, 80s, or something like that.
All right. Still doing it.
What we do is I try to go to all the elders and be like, look, how does this work? What are we doing wrong and things like that? And he'll be quick to go back into history. You feel me? Going to him is like you feel me? Going to him and sharing his experience will be like, dang. It seems like I'm in that, like when I talk to him, it just seems like I'm flashing back to the time where he was getting, beat up and things like that. And I'm like, dang, I'm right here by next time, like type of thing. And
sounds like opening an encyclopedia.
Real talk. So I think we're just gonna continue to push their legacy, continue to be fighters, continue to know that since they fought so hard for the city. You feel me? We have to do the same thing because if Muhammad Ali was here, you feel me? If he was still alive, he'll want us to keep going. He'll want us to keep fighting. You feel me? He'll want us to change these policies. We got Breonna Law trying to get passed right now. So I mean, and we trying to carry it to other cities. So
Right.
Now, so
Okay. Definitely. Muhammad Ali has a few grandsons. We were production team looking them up real quick. There's what was that? Biagio Ali Walsh, Curtis Muhammad, Conway Jr. So either one of those would probably be it. I would think the Curtis Muhammad Conway Jr. might be the guy you're talking about. But we love it. We got Angie back now. Good to see you back with us. Speaking of being all over the country, and being a shining star, I heard that you are what's known as a traveling activist. Can you talk to us about your journey, like being all over the country?
Yeah, so, I graduated from college in May from Norfolk State University, HBCU. And after that, I was like, prior to that, I had done work, but when George Floyd died, I was like, man, I just got to get in these streets. And so, I started doing a lot of work here, but, there's always politics anywhere, right? And I'm really big on building community because I think that it's going to take all of us being on the same page from different networks in order to really go ahead and bring some type of impact. So, me personally, the event came, it was like, I think Until Freedom was having an event in Louisville, Kentucky. I had already been following Breonna Taylor since she had passed. And so it was just like everybody sent me that event. So I decided to go, and that was my first time actually leaving my area to mobilize. And then I drove 10 hours to go to Kentucky and I got arrested. Yeah, I ended up spending 20 and a half hours in jail. They calling us Louisville 87 in order to demand justice for Breonna. And then after that, I've kind of felt like family in Louisville. So I've been back about 4 other times. I went back for the No Justice, No Derby, and then just a few times to visit. And then the last time I actually went was when Travis Najee was murdered, unfortunately. I was out there to co-facilitate a training actually that his org that he was working to help build. I helped co-facilitate that, and then so I ended up in Louisville for a weekend. So since then, it's been really hard for me to go back. Just that kind of just triggered, really triggered right now. And so then from there, I've done California. I've been to Philly, kind of keeping in touch with Walter Wallace's wife. I went to his funeral. And then I was in Cali for about a week and a half, helping to organize and get them ready for their New Year's event, which they did New Year, No Division. So that was a campaign to bring everyone together, organizers, activists, to do work. And so now I'm here in Virginia, and I'm screaming justice for Xavier Hill, who was murdered in Goochland, Virginia, which is about 2 hours away from me. He was 18 years old. He was killed on January 9th during a traffic stop. And so we're trying to demand them to release the dash cam tape. So that's kind of where I am now. But I love it. I love traveling. I love mobilizing. I love meeting people. I'm trying to get to Grand Rapids. So that's definitely something I'm working on, and trying to get in some different areas to really connect the pieces, because I feel like it's hard to say we want liberation when we're not on the same page. And what I mean by that is, granted, if we stand, as Black people, we're trying to push an agenda, we don't even know what our brothers and sisters in other areas are trying to push. We have no idea. So how do we get on the same page if we don't even know if we're working towards the same goals? And so I just love that. I love being able to mobilize. It's just fun. It's unfortunately I'm out of work. I'm still waiting for charges to be expunged. We got a felony and 2 misdemeanors from being arrested in Kentucky. But so I've been out of work, and so it allowed me to mobilize a little bit more and move kind of more freely. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I definitely understand that. Ever since I had to go back to work after the COVID lightened up, I haven't been able to mobilize as much as I was last year. So I get that all together. I was all over the place last year. Speaking of being killed at a traffic stop, a tragedy like that, Cortez, being from Minnesota, Philando Castile, 2016, being killed at a traffic stop following orders to produce a What does that do for people like me? I'm a registered gun owner, but I don't like to carry my gun around because I feel like I'm going to get killed. What does that do for you mentally? What does that do when you are with your sons? How do you navigate that space for people that may be around you that may want the right to bear arms?
Well,
let me start off by saying justice for Philando Castile. That was tragic. For not only for him and his family, for his girlfriend, and for the little girl that was in the back seat, man. That was tragic. That was super tragic. I think anybody who witnessed that should have, if you had any type of soul or human decency in your body, you probably would have shed a tear right then and there. I think as far as the being a registered gun holder, carrier, every person has the right to bear arms. You shouldn't have to feel you shouldn't have to feel threatening or scared to carry your weapon, to exercise your rights, or be feeling like you're going to get gunned down by the police because you're black and you're armed. We need to change our system all the way around, and everybody knows this. From defunding the police to refunding our communities, it needs to be changed all the way up, like all the way around, literally. So people who have guns, they're able to bear arms. Continue to do that, because that's your right. That's your right to do that. Continue to do that. We just gotta keep going live, I guess. We gotta keep it live, you know what I mean? If with these traffic stops and stuff like that, we gotta keep going live and exposing these people. It's not fair that these white people can do it. They can bear arms, walk right past the police.
Assault rifles and everything.
Holding AR-15s and stuff like that, and don't get bothered or questioned about their license or anything. But black person walk by with an AR-15 is, do you got license to carry? Where you going with that? Like, we shouldn't have to be going through that. We shouldn't have to go through that right there.
Yeah, I mean, just 6 months ago when we were in Louisville, we were down there with the march, and the day after we came back through, and I saw all the far right militia with their assault rifles in hand, not being bothered by the police at all. As a matter of fact, smiling with the police, laughing with them. But as soon as anybody else outside of them walked past the police, they were being accosted for being out past curfew, and a whole host of other things. So, I mean, I've always said that you don't see the KKK in the same place as the police, because a lot of them are the same. And if they're not the same, they're cousins. So they don't see a threat. But when it's anyone outside of them, it looks like a threat. And unfortunately, we are coming up on the end of this. We have about 5 minutes left. Donnie, excuse me. Donnie, do you see yourself being able to be on the front lines more and not be perceived as much of a threat, or as much of a threat, I should say, because of your mildly lighter skin than a lot of the people that you're working with?
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to repeat the question.
So the question is, the darker, we spoke about the brown paper bag theory. The darker you are, the more threatening you are. I know a lot of people that in the movement that may be biracial, or just lighter skinned in general, they quote unquote sacrifice themselves out on the front lines because they're not perceived as much of a threat as the darker skinned counterparts that are in the movement. How do you feel about that for yourself personally?
For me personally, I feel like I'm just as much as a target out here as everybody else. But I also feel that, like, honestly, I don't see it. I don't feel like I'm at greater risk than other black people or other Hispanic people or just marginal. I don't feel like I'm at greater risk. I feel like I'm at a great risk, and I share that great risk with other black people and with other Hispanic people. I am willing to be at the forefront and do whatever I need to do, say whatever I need to say, do whatever we need to do collectively in order to make that happen. as far as like letting it be a thing for me to stop me from doing what I'm gonna do, it's never gonna stop me from doing what I need to do. And I'm gonna continue to be on the forefront and doing and saying what I need to say. If we allow ourselves to, if I allow that to slow up my pace of the movement, then that's allowing our oppressive social construct allowing that construct to successfully win, to complete the brainwash, I guess, quote unquote brainwash, and to self-implode, to have this self-defect, to where I think that my light skin is now either a defect or an advantage. And either way, if I think about it that way, I'm going to lose. So I have to think of myself as me. I am me, and I am helping the people. We are people. We are helping each other, not taking away the ethnicity from it, not taking away the color. But again, I have to think about it in that way in order to keep myself sharp, I would say, keep myself not non-biased from my decisions and responses and the choices that I make moving forward.
Awesome. Hey, everybody, it's been great. We have about 2 minutes left. I definitely appreciate everybody for coming on the Voices of the Revolution panelist discussion tonight. I'm gonna give everybody a chance to go back around and give some closing remarks. We're gonna try to keep it to about 30 seconds a person so we can get out of here on time. We'll start with Jakari Richardson.
All right, first and foremost, I want to say thank you to Ali for extending the opportunity over to me. I want to tell all the viewers, watchers out there, please search us up on Facebook, Protect Black Lives. We're working on other platforms right now, but for now, we're on Facebook, Protect Black Lives. We're right here in the community. We're working with Justice for Black Lives, and we hope to see you. We hope to see you at the coming protest that Justice for Black Lives comes up with, and we hope to see you. We hope to see other people and other young people and other people join the fight, the revolution, so that we can liberate all ourselves and generations after us.
Thank you. All right, we have Streets. Tell us a little bit about where we can find you and give some closing remarks.
First of all, I just want to thank everybody on this panel. You feel me? Y'all some black kings and queens. And I just be on the panel with y'all. I appreciate the offer for extending the invite to me. You can find me on Instagram at Speak for Streets, Speak the number 4 and Streets with an S, and also Instagram Facebook on Wade Bree. Also, I got an organization called Streets and Avenues. That's also on Instagram as well. The N is for No Limits. So we got a lot of No Limit soldiers out here that's gonna continue to push the movement. Also, like, I'm willing to work with anybody that's trying to push black liberation and trying to fight for the right things in any city. And yeah, for everybody in the viewers in the comment section or whatever, don't be a part of the problem, be a part of the solution. You know what I mean? So we're gonna continue to say her name: Breonna Taylor, David McAtee, George Floyd, Tyler Girth, and Sandra Bland, and all the other rest of the men and women out here. And also, we're gonna elevate black women and protect black women. So that's it.
All right, and our favorite black woman right now, Angie Day. Go ahead and give us some shout outs and tell us where we can find you on your way out.
Listen, I want to say thank y'all most importantly for having us, having me. Thank you for the invitation. Of course, it's always a pleasure to link up with some more real world changers. You can find me on every social media platform, Real World Changer. Definitely tap in with me that whether you want to get on the Facebook page or the Instagram, it's Real World Changer on all platforms. If you would like to follow my org, it's called The Underground 1865. That's the same thing on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook as well. Definitely tap in. We're doing a lot of mutual aid right now. trying to help our community. I'm also trying to just get this Justice for Xavier Hill. So please make sure that y'all share the hashtag Justice for Xavier. We are trying so hard. It's been over 45 days now, and their tapes have not been released. So please join in this fight by sharing the hashtag Justice for Xavier and demanding justice from the Goochland Commonwealth Attorney's Office. And also, y'all, to all of those who are fighting, thank you for fighting. Continue to fight. We can fight together. If there's anything I can help y'all do, I'm working on some pamphlets, some training material for organizers. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything. I'm very experienced in policy and procedure. So please just don't hesitate to reach out. I want to communicate. I want to build community and coalition. And don't forget, we have nothing to lose but our change. This is a great for me.
Great. Donnie, give us some closing remarks.
Okay. So as you've already heard before, my name is Donnie, Vice President of Justice for Black Lives. This is where you can follow the organization. Big shout out to Allie. Thank you for extending the offer again for everybody to creating this. Also, thank you, Cortez, for having this situation happening. This is amazing. And it some ending remarks. I want a big thank you to anybody who's stepping out of themselves in order to step back into themselves to discover what is actually here, to discover what was actually here before all of this. Big thank you to anybody who steps or who is selfless, genuinely selfless in the situation, putting themselves not only into harm's way, but genuinely extending a helping hand, showing unconditional love every day in and day out, even though the world ain't necessarily pretty, but big thank you for that. And again, thank you for being here. I'm just appreciative of every single one of these activists, not only on this call, but everybody out here trying to make a change in the world. You can find me on Facebook, Donnie Santiago on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. It's Positive Vibes I420 Instagram. Also, keep going. We love it. And last but not least, Cortez, please send us off right.
All right, Cortez Rice, CORTEZ, You can find me on Facebook, Instagram under United We Walk. I have United We Walk platform on Facebook as well. I have two businesses, Twin City Revitalization LLC, standing in solidarity with all the families. I must add, March 8th is the trial for the murder cops that killed George Floyd. So make sure y'all stay tuned on that.
Prosecute the police.
Yeah, convict them and prosecute them, lock their ass up. We will have projectors across the cities, live in the trial and everything like that. Again, continue. I thank everybody that's on this panel for sure. Keep up the fight. Can't stop. We won't stop, man. Again, I'm hosting other events, so just stay tuned, man. Cortez Rice on Facebook, United We Walk on Facebook and Instagram. I might add, I am doing a hat, gloves, coat, and blanket drive Friday, Saturday, Sunday for our beautiful people out here. All power to the people, man. So, yeah, definitely.
Hey, we love it. Once again, I'm Kenneth Cortez, stationed here in Grand Rapids, and we want to thank everybody that was able to help put this show on, from the Voices of the Revolution group. That was Allie,
I think that was really good.